If you've ever dug into a garden bed only to discover a forgotten potato thriving on its own, you've already seen the power behind what I call the lost potato method. No careful spacing, no perfect timing, no constant feeding, just a potato that was lost and decided to grow anyway, often producing a surprisingly generous harvest. Here at Rootshaven Grounds, we love methods like this because they remind us that gardening doesn't have to be complicated to be productive. Sometimes, the simplest approaches deliver the biggest rewards. This article is for gardeners who want high yields with less effort. Whether you're just starting out or you've been growing food for years, the lost potato method is low input, forgiving, and incredibly effective. And once you understand why it works, you can intentionally use it to grow potatoes with confidence and ease. What the lost potato method really is. The lost potato method isn't a gimmick or a new trend. It's a way of growing potatoes that mimics how they naturally thrive when left undisturbed. Instead of planting neatly cut seed potatoes in rows and hilling them repeatedly, you allow whole potatoes, or large chunks, to grow in rich soil with minimal interference. So, in nature, when a potato gets missed during harvest, it just stays in the ground. Over time, it sends out shoots, forms a strong root system, and produces new tubers without anyone really fussing over it. The lost potato method is basically just recreating those conditions on purpose. And here at Rootshaven Grounds, this method fits right in with our approach: work with nature, not against it. Why does this method give you effortless yields? Well, potatoes are real survival experts. They store up energy, they can handle cool soils, and once they're established, they grow pretty aggressively. When you plant them with minimal disturbance, they can use all that stored energy to focus on root and tuber development instead of wasting it on stress recovery. By steering clear of too much cutting, transplanting, and messing with the soil, the plant gets established faster and grows more consistently. Usually this means you get fewer but larger plants, and those plants tend to give you full-sized, clean, well-formed tubers. Another reason this method works so well is, honestly, moisture regulation. Lost potatoes are usually buried deeper or naturally mulched, which protects them from temperature swings and drying out. Stable conditions lead to steady growth, and steady growth leads to better yields. Choosing the right potatoes is actually pretty simple. You don't need anything fancy to get started. In fact, some of the best results come from potatoes that would otherwise be overlooked. Sprouted pantry potatoes work beautifully as long as they're not treated with heavy growth inhibitors. At Rootshaven Grounds, we prefer using whole small to medium potatoes, or large potatoes cut only once, not into tiny pieces. The goal is to preserve as much stored energy as possible. Each potato acts like a battery, fueling early growth until the plant can feed itself. Look for firm potatoes with visible eyes or short sprouts. Soft or rotting potatoes won't perform well and can attract pests or disease. Soil preparation without the hard work. Now, that's one of the most appealing parts of the lost potato method. Honestly, it requires so little soil prep. Instead of digging deep trenches or building elaborate mounds, you just work directly with what you already have. Loose, well-draining soil gives the best results. But hey, perfection isn't really necessary. Even moderately compacted soil can work just fine if you add organic matter on top instead of mixing it in. Compost, aged manure, leaf mold, or even old garden mulch. All of these can serve as excellent growing media. Rather than turning the soil aggressively, just clear the surface, place your potato, and cover it generously. This top-down approach actually protects your soil structure and supports those beneficial organisms, something we really advocate for here at Rootshaven Grounds. Planting the lost potato way is honestly straightforward and forgiving. You simply place the potato directly on the soil surface or in a shallow depression. Then cover it with several inches of loose material, soil, compost, straw, or even a combination of all three. The depth matters less than the coverage itself. What you're looking for is darkness, insulation, and consistent moisture. As the plant grows, you can add more mulch or soil around the base, but even that step can be optional. This method works exceptionally well in garden beds, raised beds, grow bags, and even neglected corners of the yard. If there's soil and sunlight, a potato will usually find a way. Minimal maintenance, maximum return. Once planted, the lost potato method truly lives up to its reputation. Water only when the soil becomes dry several inches below the surface. Overwatering can lead to rot, while slight dryness encourages roots to search deeper. There's no need for frequent fertilizing. Potatoes grown this way benefit from slow, steady nutrient release from organic matter. If your soil is extremely poor, a light top dressing of compost mid-season is more than enough. Pests are often less of an issue because plants grown without stress are naturally more resilient. Thick mulch also discourages weeds and stabilizes soil temperature, creating a calm environment where potatoes can focus on producing tubers. Understanding growth stages for better harvests is, honestly, one of the biggest advantages of this method. The plant really communicates its needs so clearly. Early on, you'll notice leafy growth pushing through the mulch. And, this is the time when the plant is actually building its energy reserves. As flowering begins, tuber formation is underway beneath the surface. During this stage, having consistent moisture is helpful, but there's still no need for heavy feeding. Once the foliage starts to yellow and die back, it means the plant has finished its job. At Rootshaven Grounds, we always encourage gardeners to resist the urge to harvest too early. Allowing potatoes to mature fully leads to better flavor, improved storage life, and higher overall yields. Harvesting without the hassle is, honestly, one of the best parts. Harvesting lost potatoes is often easier than traditional methods. Since the soil hasn't been compacted or overworked, tubers are just easier to find and way less likely to be damaged. Gently pull back mulch or loosen soil with your hands rather than a fork whenever possible. Many gardeners are surprised by how many potatoes appear just beneath the surface. Another bonus is the second chance harvest. It's actually pretty common for small potatoes to remain behind and regrow the following season, continuing the cycle with zero effort. Not everyone has the time or energy for high-maintenance gardening. The lost potato method is ideal for busy households, beginners, and really, anyone looking to grow food without stress. It's also an excellent teaching tool. Children and new gardeners quickly gain confidence when they see results from such a simple approach. At Rootshaven Grounds, we believe confidence is one of the most valuable harvests a garden can provide. Bringing it all together, the lost potato method really shows us that abundance doesn't have to be complicated. By trusting the natural instincts of the plant and just providing supportive, not controlling conditions, you actually unlock yields that feel almost effortless. And honestly, this approach isn't just about potatoes. It's like a mindset shift toward observation, patience, and respect for natural processes. When you stop trying to force results, the garden often gives you more than you expected. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by gardening advice, or maybe discouraged by inconsistent harvests, This method is really an invitation to slow down and just let the soil do the heavy lifting. Join the Rootshaven Grounds community. If this article helped you see potatoes and gardening in a new light, I'd really like to invite you to join us at Rootshaven Grounds. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more practical, real-world growing methods that actually work. Share this article with a fellow gardener who could use an easier path to abundance. And let's keep growing smarter, not harder, together.